All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a program that, let's be honest, can strike fear into the hearts of many, but I promise, by the end of this, you'll see it as your new best friend. So let's jump right in and demystify MS Excel. So you open it up and see this. Does this blank grid just make you feel a little overwhelmed? You've got endless boxes, letters, numbers, and it's so easy to feel lost before you even start. You know what? You are not alone. A lot of people feel that way, but that feeling is about to change. And this is the secret that unlocks the whole thing. Excel isn't about you doing the math, it's about Excel doing the math for you. Your job isn't to be a human calculator, it's just to learn the language and tell this incredibly smart grid what you want it to do. That's it. So let's start by learning our way around. Okay, now that you know the big secret that Excel is here to work for you, let's get the lay of the land. We're diving into the anatomy of the grid. Once you know the basic geography, that feeling of being lost just vanishes. First things first, think of it like this. The entire Excel file you save, that's your workbook. It's the whole book. And inside that book, you have individual pages, which Excel calls worksheets. You can have a bunch of sheets in one book, which is perfect for keeping all your related data in one tidy place. So you see those vertical pillars going up and down? Those are your columns. And they're labeled with letters. It starts with A, B, C, and goes way, way beyond Z. And here's a fun fact for you. There are 16,384 columns in total. The very last one is labeled XFD. And the lines going across, horizontally, those are your rows, and they're labeled with good old numbers. And if you thought the number of columns was wild, get this. There are over 1 million rows in a single sheet. Seriously, that's more than enough space for pretty much any project you could dream up. And here's where it all comes together. That little box where a column and a row meet, that's a cell. Every single one has a unique address, kind of like a house on a street. And the address is always the same format. Column letter first, then the row number. So the cell where column C and row 5 cross paths is just C5. Simple as that. So how do you keep track of where you are? Well, Excel gives you this amazing built-in GPS. Up top, you've got the name box, which always tells you the address of the cell you've currently selected. And right next to it is the formula bar, which shows you what's actually inside that cell, whether it's just text, a number, or a powerful formula. All right, we know the map. Now it's time for the real magic. This is where we stop just storing information and start making Excel do all the heavy lifting for us. This is where the fun begins. Okay, if you remember only one thing from this entire explainer, let it be this. If you type 10 plus 10 into a cell, Excel just shrugs and thinks you're typing text. But the second you start with an equal sign, you are telling Excel, hey, wake up and calculate this. That equal sign literally turns the cell into a powerful little calculator. It's the golden rule. Now, the basic math is pretty much what you'd expect, but there's one little thing to watch out for. For multiplication, you don't use an X. You have to use the asterisk. Division is a /, and if you want to do to the power of something, you use that little pointy hat symbol, the caret. That's really it. But look, nobody wants to sit there typing out long strings of math, right? That's where functions come in. They're like powerful shortcuts. Instead of typing out equals A1 plus A2 plus A3 and on to add up your expenses, you just type equals SUM, select your list, and bam, done. It's a massive, massive time saver. Okay, lean in for this one because this tiny detail is huge. When you're telling a function which cells to use, punctuation is everything. A colon, like on the left, means through. So A1 colon A5 grabs everything from A1 all the way through A5. But a comma on the right just means and. A1, A5 tells Excel to only grab those two specific cells and ignore everything in between. Knowing that difference is a total game changer. Okay, you've got the fundamentals. You know the language. Now let's get into the stuff that separates the beginners from the pros. These are the tips and power moves that are going to save you so much time. So here's a really cool thing Excel does automatically. It uses what's called a relative reference. All that means is if you write a formula and then you copy or drag it down to the next row, Excel is smart enough to update the formula for that new row. It adjusts on the fly, which is awesome and exactly what you want like 90% of the time. But what about that other 10% of the time? Let's say you have one single sales tax rate in one cell, right? And you need to apply it to 100 different products. That's when you need an absolute reference. By putting dollar signs in front of the column and row, you basically drop an anchor on that cell. Now, when you copy the formula down, that one part stays locked in place. It's incredibly useful. And of course, if you want to work like a real pro, you gotta know the shortcuts. Instead of double-clicking a cell to edit it, just hit F2. Need to select an entire column instantly? Hit Ctrl+Space. And my personal favorite, if you've got a list of numbers, just select them and hit Alt and equals at the same time. Boom, Excel sums them up for you. All right, this is the best part. This is the payoff. We've organized our data, we've done the calculations. Now we get to turn all those boring-looking numbers into a clear, powerful visual story that anyone can understand in just a few seconds. The trick is just picking the right chart for the story you're trying to tell. So if you're comparing things like sales figures for different products, a column or bar chart is your best bet. If you want to show parts of a whole, like what percentage of your budget goes to different departments, a pie chart is perfect. And to show a trend over time, like your website traffic over the last year, nothing beats a classic line chart.
All right, you ready? Time for a quick pop quiz to see if you were paying attention. In Excel, what's the result of equals 10 asterisk 2 caret 2?
The answer is 40. And here's why. Remember the order of operations from math class? Well, Excel remembers it too. It always calculates the exponent, the power of, first. So 2 squared is 4. Then it does the multiplication. 4 times 10 is 40. Okay, next question. Which symbol do you use to lock a cell reference down, to make it absolute so it doesn't change when you copy it? You got it. It's the dollar sign. Just remember that the dollar sign acts like a heavy anchor, holding that cell reference firmly in place no matter where you move or copy your formula. So, see, that grid isn't so intimidating anymore, is it? It's just a blank canvas. You now have the tools, you know the most important rules of the game, so the only real question left is, what story are you going to make your data tell?